Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast Survivor Series Experience. I've got a special guest for you. My name is Aaron Alva. I'm CEO and founder of Stroke TV, which produces Stroke of Genius Podcast. I've got a special guest I can't wait for you to meet. And it's amazing. I am so inspired by this product, this stroke survivors, unlike any I've ever met. And so let's get right into it. I want you to meet him so bad. So here we go. Let's get right into it.
The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
Well, hey, bro, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good yourself.
How good? I didn't see your name because I forgot to ask you. How do you pronounce your last name?
Nobody can get it Gochenaur.
I didn't do it. I mean, I have a speech effort. Last day, I didn't want to cut. So why don't you introduce yourself, bro?
Travis Gochenaur. Yeah, it's a very unique last name. Nobody could spell it properly or anything.
No, and you are coming to us live from Minnesota, correct?
Wisconsin, actually, right next to Minnesota.
Wisconsin, of course. But before we get into it, before we get into the interview, I want to show people, play your video, let people see what it is you do, what you do. So let me bring that up online right now. I'm going to bring that up. And then I'm going to hit play and we'll watch a video. Now, this is bench press. They told me in the room, you're about to bench press, what, 375 pounds?
375, yeah.
Crickets. All right, that's amazing.
I used to bench a lot more before my strokes, but I'm actually more proud of this one because it was after I had so many strokes. Wasn't easy, but I got it.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. That was amazing. Okay, I'm gonna play that camera. Well, Travis, you and I were talking. I'm just amazed at what it is you do, bro. I mean, here you are now. Let's go back up a little bit. Did you know what stroke was before you had one?
Not really. I mean, you kind of had an idea, but just from like movies or hearing about some old person had one, and pretty much it. I didn't really realize the full magnitude of it.
So, what were you doing at the time when you had the stroke? Where were you at? What were you doing?
Well, I had 5 of them, and I didn't know I was having. But then when I had the big one, I'd actually been trying to clean up a trailer hitch outside. I came in, so I was feeling like such crap and laid down that my ex-wife at the time, she was my wife, called me from work and she said I sounded drunk, so she rushed home. And by the time she got there, I went and sat on the couch, and both my left and right sides totally froze up. I couldn't talk or nothing. So then that was the big one, the 6th one that collapsed my brainstem.
Now, let's go back up just a minute. You had a total of 6. So you having more smaller strokes, but you kind of ignored it. You had warning sign. You were telling me about that.
Well, I just kept feeling like, I mean, now that I look back at it, they were stroke symptoms, but I just kept sleeping them off. I felt really crappy. I was dizzy. I was talking funny, weakness and everything else. I'd wake up the next day. I was still weak and everything, but I just kept going on and on because I'd been sick for a few months before it, so I was just attributing it to that. And the doctors had put me on a medication, and I didn't realize it was actually the medication causing it because I had 6 total, they said, and I had 6 doses of the medication, and every time it happened was when I had a dose of the medication.
Wait a minute. You were diagnosed with something. You weren't diagnosed with strokes.
No, it was.
They gave you medication that caused your strokes.
Yep. And then I actually had another stroke about 1.5 years ago, but that one just brought back my deficits a little bit worse, and now I'm actually getting almost back to where I was again.
Yeah, the people know out there, you were affected on both sides, which is really hard. I can't imagine. What was that like having to deal with both sides affected? That'd have been terrible.
Well, in the beginning, it was really bad, but then my left side came back fairly quickly. It's back to almost normal now. I mean, I has a little weakness, a little stiffness, some tremors and stuff, but for the most part, it's back to normal. The right side's the one that took forever to even get to move on, especially the arm, and it's still really affected to this day, but it's a lot better than it was a few years ago. I mean, we're a couple of years after the strokes. It's come a long way.
They told you you're not gonna walk. In fact, they told you we're gonna die, right?
Yeah, they wanted to read me my last rites at the second hospital I went to. So I was at 3 hospitals altogether, and they all said it was inoperable. But then when I coded in the MRI, the top doctor at the top hospital in our state for strokes decided with my age he would try an experimental type surgery, and it worked.
Wow. Well, you and I have something both in common. Because I had my brain aneurysm. I had it first. And that was supposed to kill me. And they wheeled me into the room and told my family to go say goodbye to me because I was going to die. So I knew what you've been the last rites. They would,
And that's the thing I hate hearing is when these I see people where their family, loved ones, friends, or whatever, that the doctor said that they have no hope. It's like a lot of times they are wrong. They don't know better enough. So I was told so many times by even therapists, nurses, doctors, I would never walk. I would never get any better. I would never this. I would never that. And basically, I raised my middle finger to them and proved them wrong in so many levels. Am I still affected? Yes. But am I a lot better than I was and a lot better than they said I was going to be? Also, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel right, Travis. You really cannot. They told me I'd be a drooling, babbling mess, unable to speak. I was mute for about 3 weeks to a month after my stroke. And they told me I was going to die. I told my family I was going to die. To be out if I did, because I was in a coma for 2 months, for 2 weeks. And they said if I come out of the coma, I'm just going to be a drooling, babbling mess. And I
they
was.
pretty much told my family the same thing. They only see the severity of my brain stem collapse. They said they only see 1 to 2 a year in the state for it, because that's how rare it is, I guess. And that pretty much all the people that have them that die, the very few that have lived, are vegetables for the rest of their life. So they were actually kind of amazed that I got past that point. But it just goes to show you how resilient the brain is, because my brain actually grew 2 little tiny offshoots, bypassing my still fully collapsed basal artery to supply my brain with blood. So, I mean, there's always hope. It just goes to show your body and your determination can beat what the doctors say.
All right, I want to take a touch on that for a minute because that's so huge. You never talk about. There's over 80 million stroke survivors in this world. And stroke is so common in the U.S., someone has a stroke every 40 seconds. But so many people like can go through slowly, me and you. They put a period after a stroke, and that becomes their end. They stop living
Yeah.
on you. What is your thing? What is your thing of that? What do you think of that?
Well, it might have changed your old life, when maybe created, this is your new you, but it doesn't determine who you are. Because now it maybe just gives you a challenge. If you're someone like me, I love a challenge and just keep pushing forward and improving yourself and do your best. And as long as you keep moving forward and not just sitting there depressed, feeling bad about, sorry for yourself, you can and will make continued progress. Might be small, but it's still there. You might not be able to run and jump like you used to do, but you can do stuff now and be actually more proud of it that you're doing it now than beforehand. So there's like a lot of stuff at the gym. I don't lift anywhere near what I used to, but I'm more proud of doing it now than when I did it when I was, more healthy. So it's definitely not the end that you just had a stroke and now I'm just going to sit around and that's the end of it. There's still a lot you can accomplish and do and push forward.
Do you let people do not let stroke identify you as a person? Because you've had a stroke or brain injury of some type, but that is not who you are. Who you are is how you respond. Now,
Exactly.
Travis, you responded. I responded. We weren't going to give up. We weren't going to sit and wait to die. We were going to keep fighting. So, Travis, and I want to encourage each and every one of you watching this. Don't give up and don't let stroke be the end of what you would do. Right, Travis?
Because when you start giving up, not only does it mentally kill you, in my opinion, or deteriorate you, but your physical ability will actually reduce as well based on the whole mentality. Use it or lose it. It's true. I've had my little bouts where I maybe get depressed or something, and I physically feel my ability to use my arms starts to deteriorate. So it's like the more you keep pushing forward with it, the better it gets. And you don't have to lift heavy weights. You don't even have to lift weights. Just some sort of activity, keeping your mind sharp and focused. Gardening, walking, whatever your activity is. Keeping your mind with playing cards, something just to keep active in some way to keep, going forward.
Yeah, that is so true. The mind, it has a body because I noticed that my own rebuilding is that if my mindset goes sideways and I get depressed, I get weaker in my body.
So much of it is mental. It's not really physical. Yeah, there's physical attributes of it, but you got to have that mental mindset before anything to actually get real accomplishments and steps forward. Because if you get off a track or depressed or anything, that could set you back.
Yeah, I think that's so true in mindset. To me, see, that part of the reason I built Stroke TV Media, our second-hand stroke survivors, our vids support group, is because when I first had my stroke, 47 years old, laying in bed, half paralyzed, couldn't move. All I could do is sit there. I became suicidal. All I could try is think of how I'm going to get my carcass in the more wheelchair. I ran to my closet where I kept my 40s Smith and Wesson. And I couldn't do it because I couldn't even away with the mess like that. So thankfully I didn't do it. But mindset is everything. It really is more. I think it's more. It holds more weight in the stroke survivor success than physical recovery or physical rebuilding.
Yeah, because you need that mindset mentally in order to even get to the physical aspect of it. So without it, you're just gonna go through the motions and not even really try. You're gonna be like get frustrated and everything else when you're trying, and just not
Now,
gonna get.
Jeffers, I'm curious, did you go through a depressed period or do you get frustrated or what?
I have, yeah, I'll admit it, but I always try to push through it. I mean, I've had my bouts where it's like, what's the point? I can't do the stuff I used to do and everything. Because my leg is still really bad. It's hard, but it's coming back. I hadn't used the cane for years, and then when I had my last stroke, I was back to, I mean, actually in a wheelchair a couple times because I couldn't, my legs were so bad. It wasn't even funny. Twice I got caught in the gym parking lot because both my legs just froze up. I couldn't move. So it was like that for the last few months. Finally, when I covered enough, I was walking, but I still carried a cane with me everywhere. But now I'm back to not even carrying a cane again. So I'm, just got, and a lot of that is anxiety too, which I started taking the nerve for it, and that's helped too.
Yeah,
So, I mean, there's a lot.
I do people like you that've gone through a brainstem issue, stroke. They had some serious brainstem issues, and they're totally paralyzed. And you are
Yeah.
so fortunate that you're walking, and we just watch you working out, pick it up. What do you have? You have this weight you picked up since you back. You bench press 375 pounds, bro. I watch you walk in the gym, pick up weights and all that. I want to encourage anybody out there watching this video. I'll put a link to Travis's YouTube channel. You got to see what this guy does. It's amazing. It's amazing. This guy you can when you watch him work out.
And when I first started back to the gym real quick, I
Yeah.
wasn't even lifting free weights. I was doing little machines, having to help people get me on them and everything else. So it was a building process. It's not like I was 2 months after my strokes able to get back to the gym because I had no deficits. It took me, I want to say, about 2 years to actually maybe even 3 to get back to a gym. And then I needed help and I used machines and everything else. It was a building process and it wasn't easy, but it's paid off.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up because it's a process. It's a rebuilding process. You and I both talk about we don't like the word recovery, like we're going to recover from a cold or a broken leg.
Yeah.
It's rebuilding. It took you 2 years of trying to be able to see major progress.
Yeah, I mean, to at least even get back to the gym, it took me even longer than that I would say 3 to 4 years to where I was actually fairly good again. I mean, not anywhere near pre-strokes, but I mean, back to the point where I was walking without a cane and actually able to do free weights and stuff. And it was definitely a process, but I
So,
mean,
I heard her saying, Travis, we're running a marathon, not a race. And
oh
it's
yeah,
all fast.
it's like the one lady I'm helping at the gym. She had a stroke too, and I'm doing very slight changes. I mean, she works out hard, but I'm doing little slight changes slowly to rebuild, get activation in different muscle groups and everything else, and it's paying dividends for her. But it's not something that's going to happen in 1 to 2 weeks. It's taken months to get this far, but she loves doing it, and she seems to be getting progress and everything. So that makes me happy. So it's like,
Wow, you make me cry. Don't make me cry. Makes you happy. I'm so proud of you. That's really great, bro. What you're doing. Thank you for helping her. Thank you for inspiring all of us. But I think it's really, really, really important to realize any progress is progress.
well, yeah, even if it's small, and you might not even realize it because you feel yourself every day, but other people might see it, or you might notice like this lady the other day, actually, it was just yesterday, I believe. She usually has to use her arm to guide it up, and she just all of a sudden took her arm and grabbed the bar by herself without even using her other arm to guide it. So, I mean, that's a huge, huge thing to me.
Huge. Huge. Yeah, that is really huge. They call that that's an automation that occurs that everybody takes for granted that they never had a stroke. Where the mind the brain automatically does put your leg in a certain place and grab something without even thinking about it.
Yeah,
But
well, it's and when you've had your stroke, you got to think about it more to activate it. Plus, I've found out through trial and error that certain muscles are activating and other muscles are that shouldn't be taking over. Try to help over and take over because your muscles are so weak. And that's what, like I'm trying through my own building and through the lady I'm training is to activate some of those muscles that should be activating but normally aren't because of the strokes instead of having those other muscles take over to try to compensate. Because if you get them all working in unison, you're able to get more function.
so have
And
you were talking about you used to talk to your arm, you affect your arm. You used to try to tell it, get going, start doing something,
yeah,
didn't you?
yeah, I mean, I had dumbbells that I had my ex-wife, little tiny 1 pound dumbbells that I had my ex-wife bring into my hospital bed and a few other things, and my arm didn't move at all I don't think it was even moving once I left the hospital, as I remember correctly. But I would try putting it in my hand every day and just sit there and try to concentrate and try to do as much as I could. And it's more just as soon as I finally was able to move my arm, doing anything I could at all with my arm, even if it was the small thing as turning a light switch on and off, just doing anything at all possible, taking my other arm and giving that arm resistance, just doing anything at all to get those muscle fibers firing.
That is that's a golden nugget right there. Anything. Do
And the
any
nice and the nice thing is I had experience with bodybuilding, and the way you build more muscle through bodybuilding is the way I do it at least is trying to hit different angles, which you're able to emphasize different parts of the muscle. Like, for instance, your shoulder has lots of muscles in it. You might be hitting more of the front deltoids and the side and rears, but through different angles, you can try to activate those ones that aren't maybe activating as much, and you can get those firing more. And then you get them all firing better. They start working more. Besides, attributed to like a weak car battery on that side. If your batteries, the signals going, it's going to be stronger. And that's the
that
way I
is
attribute.
I never thought of it that way. So yes, like my left arm, I shoot you my left arm, I shoot my left hand. But I'm excited to try that. And we're talking about start by trying to talk to it, move, touch it, get it move, and then try different angles of stuff, trying to get things to fire.
And
That's
if you have someone to help you too through passive motion, or you can like use a broomstick or a small bar or something and use your good arm and grab on with your bad arm and use that to help guide and take the bad arm along for the ride. That way, at least the bad arm is moving in those motions, and that should hopefully help activate and wake up the brain signals.
yeah, I've heard people say to me, says, Aaron, you're not really paralyzed. The connection between your mind, your brain, and your body has been severed by the stroke. So you just need to get trained. That's what neuroplasticity is. It's a rewiring of your brain. It goes around the damage into the areas and get that work. That's what you're
But
talking about rewiring.
yeah, but I mean, if you have bad damage, you're not going to get that signal back to the original strength. But you could try to get it from 1% up to 7%, and even if you get to that 7% from one, you're going to notice quite a bit more function. Still going to be a lot weaker than your good side, and less function than your good side. But I don't know about you. I would take 7% signal over 1% any day.
Right. Yeah, no, true.
You know,
True that. Yeah, true
I mean,
that.
it's those simple tasks like being able to tie your shoes, use your affected hand for cooking, even using your cell phone a little bit. Yeah, the hand still might, because my hand's not very good. But I'm able to tie my shoes, help with cooking and stuff like that. And that makes daily life just so much easier, just having those little things on that hand. Whereas years ago, I didn't have that. It was a lot tougher. But now being able to have that little functionality is a godsend. It just helps so much.
Yeah, it's a great. No wonder you got a great attitude, bro. Because those little things, they all add up to something big.
Well, yeah.
Really big.
I mean, just being able to lift your arm another 3 inches might not seem like a lot, but that 3 inches might be the difference from you being able to reach something and using both arms to get it, or sitting there struggling trying to get it with one arm and then dropping it on the floor like I always used to do, and then now I got to clean that up.
Right,
And
right,
it's just
right. Well, I'm curious. We're getting down to the end of the show because it's a 30-minute podcast. But if I was to ask you, Travis, if there was news, you knew a news stroke, you were going to tell a news stroke survivor something you've learned on your journey, what would you tell the news stroke survivor?
well, the main thing is don't give up. Don't believe this nonsense that this is as good as you're going to get. There's no chance you're recovering. It's mindset. Like I have a tattoo on my back: dedication, determination, domination. It's actually my stroke tattoo, and that's actually what it means. I mean, pushing past through with dedication to achieve what you're going for. I mean, giving up is not the issue. You're going to go backwards, not forward. Feeling sorry for yourself is not the solution. Having a positive mindset, going forward, try not to depend on everyone else. Because if you need certain assistance, by all means, go for it, especially for safety. But I'm very pig-headed in that way. I try not to use any assistance at all. Like I have no safety bars in my bathroom. I have those little suction cup things, but I never use them. I hated even using a cane. I don't like using crutches if I don't need to. Now, if you need to use them, that's a whole different story. But if you're able to get out of your comfort zone and not use them, you'll find more progress
Yeah,
because you're not depending on.
yeah, great advice. With me, Travis, I'm going to talk to you as a brother, but what do you do with the fear? There's a fear that comes over you. I don't trust my left leg. I can't. I'm not going to stand on it. What do you do with that
That can
fear?
be tough. And a lot of that is anxiety. And I actually started taking an herb that's helped me greatly in that just about a month ago because I was having huge anxiety walking outside from those freeze ups in my legs about a year ago. I started taking this herb and now I'm walking outside much better. That fear is actually subsiding. So that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, the fear could definitely stop it. But Trevor, right, I'm bringing down the close show, but I really, really want to thank you. And I'm really looking forward. I'm hoping that you and I can do something with Stroke TV. You and I'll be talking more later. But I think people there in the stroke community need to know rebuilding your life for stroke is possible. And mindset is where it starts.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you and appreciate that you do these podcasts to get people's stories out there and to show people that, hey, you're not just the statistic sitting at home. You can still live and enjoy and do and, get better. So I
It's
appreciate
really
it.
true. And I appreciate being here, bro. Thank you so much. And we're pretty much done. And thank you so much for being here. And I tell you, people, look forward to seeing Trev more draws because I personally am very impressed. Because me excited. I'm gonna go do something now. I get jacked up, pumped up, excited about doing it. Because if Travis can do it, I can do it. And so,
Well, maybe just, make sure you don't hurt yourself, but trying to get out of your comfort zone, especially you have someone there for you, you got to take those steps in order to get forward. Because if you never get out of your comfort zone, you're going to stay where you're at. if that makes sense. I mean, by all means, of course, be safe. Don't be unsafe. But I mean, if you can make even just one little step each week or each month to try to get out of that comfort zone, it can make huge progress.
Wow, that speaks right to my heart, bro. Really, that speaks to my heart. I've honestly, to be frank with you, but to honest with you, I feel like I've been in comfort zone, and that's why I'm not progressing like I should. So I really appreciate that. That motivates me. But I want to thank you for being a Travis Health. Look forward to doing more work with you in the future. Thank you for being here, bro.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it for having me.
Fire.
Have a good day.